All right, lesson 11.6, we are going to apply many of the things that we've been dealing with percentages to what you might call real life situations. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. These are the story problems, by the way. I know everybody loves their story problems, but we need to work on it. The first thing we're going to, and this is a new one, is to deal with commission. And commission is a fee paid to a person for making a sale. So like a car salesman, part of their salary may be based on commission. The more they sell, the more money they make for themselves. Okay, so and usually their commission is based on a commission rate. This is the fee paid to a person who makes a sale, expressed as a percentage, and it's based on the selling price. But here's the important part of it: to find a commission, we take the rate of commission, whatever the percentage is, and we multiply by the amount of sales. Now, if you don't have this down, go ahead and pause and get everything written down. I'm going to go ahead and get to the next slide. So Julie is paid a monthly salary of $2,100, plus commissions. Last month, she sold one car for $39,500, earning 4% commission on the sale. How much was her commission? Okay, so we have to understand that Julie's monthly salary is actually made of two parts. She makes $2,100. She gets that no matter how much she sells. On top of that, she earns commission. So it encourages her to sell more. The more she sells, the more money she gets to bring home for herself. So let's go ahead and let's start with her commission, because we have a two-part problem here. And again, commission is the rate multiplied by the amount of sales. So in this case, her commission rate is 4%, so 0.04, times the amount of sales, which in this case was $39,500. All right, so $39,500, and I am going to simply punch that into a calculator real quick. $39,500, $1,580. So this is the commission that she made based on her amount of sales. So that is the solution to the first question here. How much is her commission? $1,580. Now the second question, what was her total pay for the month? Again, if we go back up here, her monthly salary is $2,100 plus commission. Well, now we found out that her commission for this particular month is $1,580. So if we go ahead and simply add those values together, 6 and 3, we find that for last month, Julie made $3,680. Again, commission is an incentive program. It's to get salesmen to try to sell more, and that's why sometimes you may run into a pushy salesman, especially if they're working on commission. They're trying to make money for themselves to take home. So Jim works at Best Buy and is paid monthly based solely on commission at a rate of 8%. So in last month he sold $7,500 worth of merchandise. How much was his commission? So in this case, Jim his take-home pay is only based on commission at 8% and $7,500 worth of sales. So 8% is 0.08 times $7,500. And again, I will go ahead and just punch that quickly into a calculator, times $7,500. And that tells me that he made $600 last month. Because again, his salary in this case is based only on commission. He doesn't happen to have the monthly thing that Julie did. And depending on the job, if you ever are in this type of situation, that may happen. You may, if you work in a job that deals with commission, you may get paid monthly. You may have an upfront thing that just say, okay, you're going to make this one automatically, plus whatever your commission is. In other cases, it may be solely commission. So it just depends on your pay structure. If the sales tax rate is 7.75%, how much tax would Mika pay if she bought a portable DVD player for $145.80 and 2 DVDs for $15.99. Now, as a reminder, to find the amount of tax on an item, we take the rate, the percentage, and multiply it by the amount of sales. Actually, here I'm going to go ahead and slide this up a little bit. So now, let's go ahead and figure out how much she sold. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and slide this out of the way for just a second. So $145.80 for her DVD player, 2 DVDs for $15.99. You know what? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to multiply this by 2 right now. That way I have the value of the 2 DVDs. That's $31.98. So if let's see, $31.98, and I add those together. Right now I'm just getting the total bill before tax. So $817.771. Okay, so before tax she is paying $177.78. Okay. Now, most of you will do this as a 2-step problem, or in this case, I guess 3-step problem if you figured out the price of your DVDs together. You could do all 3 items separately and then add things together, but I prefer to do the total bill. All right, so let me go ahead and again, tax, the amount of tax is the rate times the amount of sales. Well, the 700 or the 177.78 is the amount of sales. We need to multiply that by the tax rate. In this case, 0.0775. Remember, your decimal up there will go 2 places to the left, so we will need a 0 in the front and all that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply, and I'm doing it the quick way, 177.78 times 0.0775, $13.78 when I round it off to 2 decimal places, because in our system of money typically we go to 2 decimal places. So in this case, how much tax? That was the question that we were asked. The tax was $13.78. Okay, now we didn't, in this case, we did not have to go any further. You could, if you were asked the total, add the tax back into the total to get the value that she's going to actually pay. But in this case, we didn't have to. So just for the sake of lack of, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, so we're done in this particular problem. But now we're going to go on, and I'm going to give you some choices of how, of another way you can deal with this problem. So I'm going to do it in 2 ways. You are shopping in Michigan, and I say in Michigan because that's important, because we have a specific tax rate, at your favorite clothing store. You decide to purchase a shirt for $15 and a pair of jeans costing $25. How much will you spend on your items? So in this case, we want to know what is the price plus the tax. Now, remember, we still have our how to calculate tax. We take the rate and multiply by the amount of sales. In Michigan, our rate is 0.06 or 6%. So I'm going to do this in 2 ways. Okay. The first way is the way that most of you, and I'm going to go ahead and put or here, most of you will do this, probably, at least at this particular point. Now, it's $40 for my shirt plus my jeans. Okay. That is my total sales before tax. And most of you will go ahead and multiply by 0.06, and you will find out that the tax is $2.40. Okay? You will then take the tax and add it on to your $40. So $40 plus $2.40, and you will add those together. Again, I would be lining up my decimals and all that stuff. And you would actually pay $42.40. There we go. So this would be the tax only. Okay, so this would be before tax. B-E-F. Sometimes writing with the mouse is tough. Before tax. This would be the tax, and this would be after tax. which in this particular case, we were looking for the after tax because we want to know how much you will spend on your items. Well, after tax, it'll be $4 or $42.40. Now, I said I was going to do this in two ways. I am going to do this in two ways. There is a quicker way to deal with this. And this is to realize, especially if we want to get to how much are we going to spend it all, is if we realize something about percentages. $40 would be 100%. But we are not in Michigan spending 100%. We are actually spending 106%. Because we take our 100% for whatever our items are and we add 6% on top of that. And so we are actually spending 106%. Well, if I take the price of my items, whatever it is, in this case it's $40, and I multiply by 1.06, okay, that would be 100% or 106% as a decimal. I will get, in this case, $42.40. And you'll notice I get directly to the after-tax cost without having to go through the 2 or 3-step problem. So if in your head you can actually ask yourself, how much will I actually have of the original price, in this case 106%, if I multiply by 1.06, I get to the end without having to go through the middle. And so those of you who, if you're start wrapping your head around that idea, you can actually cut out steps. A lot of it, though, depends on what do you need. If you just want the final cost, there you go, final cost in one step. If you need the tax, then you have to go over this way. So, Greg earns $36,000 yearly. Of that, he pays $12,240 for rent. What percent of Greg's earnings go to rent? Okay, so in this particular case, we're shifting gears. We're just we're dealing more with just our percentages, some review things. And remember, percent is a part of a whole. So if we're trying to find what percent of Greg's earnings go to rent, we take the part and divide by the whole, which in this case, the part is $12,240, and we divide by the whole, which is his yearly salary. And again, quickly here, punching it into a calculator just to, which you may use calculators, just show your steps, divided by 36,000, that is 0.34, which equals 34%. So in this case, a basic percentage problem, but we like to throw those back in just as reminders of how to deal with those things. So, students watch cars to raise funds for class trips. The class made a profit of $326.60 from last Saturday's car wash, which was 92% of its revenue. How much is the revenue? And in this case, we're going to go with the key phrase, which actually, by the way, the key phrase in this particular case is basically right there. $326.60 from last Saturday's car wash, which actually the from last Saturday's car wash is not important. So $326.60, which was, and that is basically which is, 92% as a decimal of its revenue. Well, we don't know what its revenue is. That's what we want to find. I will use R. And you'll notice here, my key phrase gave me an equation, which I can then solve my equation. Again, this is just review of previous items learned in this particular chapter. So if I divide both sides by 0.92, and again, handy dandy calculator, $326.60 divided by 0.92, and yes, the answer will get bigger if I divide by a number smaller than 1. $355. So the revenue was $355. $326.60 of it was profit, which should make sense. 92% is almost a whole. $326.60 is almost a whole in this case. So, all right, that gets us to the end. Good luck. Come see me for help.